they read an article or they read a snapshot out of a book as opposed to reading a real documented piece of scholarship. And so what ends up happening is they create more blame, guilt, and fault for white people. And so what happens if you are a white ally and you want to be active in the movement, but the people are blaming you, they're guilting you, they're faulting you for stuff that you didn't really have a whole lot to do with. What happens to our enemies when we blame them and we guilt them and we fault them? Do they go, yes, I want to be a part of that now because I feel so guilty? Right? So diversity is not about blame, fault, and guilt. It's also not about therapy. I'm all for people sharing their emotional experiences, for them engaging and that kind of stuff. But a lot of times when we get into these conversations, the person who cries the most is the most liberated. But then those of us who haven't had those experiences kind of go like, wow, now I feel bad because not only have I not had that experience, I might be part of the problem, which loops me back into this. And what happens when you're motivated by guilt and shame and fear and fault? Do you give 100% of yourself to anything? I don't know if you've had parents like this, but my mother is a pastor and trying to use this to motivate my behaviors. Well, I know you're really busy and you used to call every Sunday, but I know that, it's not, you just out there in Minneapolis doing your thing, right? Do I go, oh, yes, Mom, I'm ready to call you now every day? No, I'm like, right? Love her to death. Diversity is also not about meritocracy, and meritocracy is that concept that if you work hard enough, you can be just like me. What's the difficulty or the problem with this concept of meritocracy? That if you work hard enough, you can be like me.
The bootstrap. Not everybody has bootstraps.
Okay, it's the bootstrap thing. It's not everybody has bootstraps. What else? Yeah, you make this. What makes me the ruler that everyone is to be measured by? Why am I so special? It would be really a shame if LeBron James had to play basketball the way I do. Right? So meritocracy. And there are systematic things that in ways our systems, our communities are organized that don't give us the same opportunities or advantages or set us back in terms of some of those advantages. That this is a false way of thinking. And lastly, diversity is not about tolerance. And my brothers and sisters in the work get really nervous when I talk about this, but I am emphatic about this thing that it's not tolerance. What is tolerance? You're putting up with something, right? That you don't want to. Now, the interesting thing about tolerance is my brother-in-law came to visit with my sister and my nieces and nephews. I tolerated that dude. Why? I knew when he was going home. One of the things about tolerance is that it means to put up with until when? We don't have to. Right? So are our communities getting less diverse? I would say no. I would say that our human relationships are getting more complicated all the time. And so tolerance does not necessarily have a place in the kind of world that I want to live in specifically. Right? So, and I hear some of you saying in the back of your head, well, isn't political correctness and meritocracy and tolerance, aren't those good first steps? I mean, I've gone to workshops on them, I've read books on them, aren't they good tools? And what I would suggest is that babies drink milk. And why do babies drink milk? They don't know anything else? Why else? They can't digest anything else. It's the simplest form of nutrient that they can ingest. But at some point, babies move from milk to tofu. I'm a vegetarian part-time. I guess that makes me an omnivore of some sort, right? But yeah, so political correctness, meritocracy, and tolerance, these are all great first steps. But a lot of times, people look at political correctness and meritocracy and tolerance as if they have arrived if they're executing these things. And what I would argue is that there's a lot more to it than just these pieces. And so we're talking about micro-inequities. We're talking about micro-inequities. So we'll talk more about specifically what they are. But I want to lay out some groundwork so we know what they're not before we can identify what they are. All right? And so when we talk about diversity, the way or the new way that I want to think about diversity is this. Because if I ask 100 people what diversity is, how many answers do I get? 100. That's a problem. If I can't say apple and you know exactly what I'm talking about, we got a problem. Right? So what I did is I looked at diversity efforts, I looked at best practices, and I tried to tease out what were some of the sentiments, what were some of the things people were thinking when they tried to help us have these conversations. And this is what I came up with. That there is dignity and honor in being human. What is dignity? What is dignity?
You have a sense of self-worth, and other people also view you as having self-worth.
Okay, so you have a sense of self-worth, and other people view you having self-worth. Dignity. Is it something that you have or something you give? It is in fact both, right? Now, I'm not sure where folks are from or where they live in the state, but I used to live in South Minneapolis, and as I entered on the expressway and got off the expressway, I would see these people with cardboard signs. And written on their cardboard signs were different things. They were asking for stuff. What kinds of things were they asking for? Money, food, work, the job, right? All sorts of stuff they're asking for. And so being a kind-hearted person, what do you think I gave them? I'm not giving nobody money. I work too hard for my money, right? Guess what I gave them? Dignity. How did I do that? I made eye contact with them. Because one of the things that often happens is that these groups, these folks that are marginalized, they don't really think we see them. Right? So I make eye contact. When it's appropriate and it's safe for me to do so, I have conversations with them. I may give them a business card. If I happen to have, sometimes I have Subway gift cards or whatever, I'll give something like that. But what I want them to know is that I'm going to give them respect for who they are, even though they're not in a place I would want them to be. So I'm going to give them some dignity. Because what happens is, if people don't get dignity, they try to take it for themselves. I don't know if this has happened to you. It's happened to me often. I'm at a traffic light, a stop sign in a neighborhood, and there's a group of kids trying to cross the street. Now, I would think, with as beautiful as they are and as young as they are, they might be able to cross the street a little faster than they do. But it never fails. They get right in front of me. And I used to think it was because their pants were hanging too low, but I've seen them crank those puppies up and get going, right? But they get right in front of me, and then they eyeball me. They make eye contact, right? And as if to say, your kind, your adult kind, doesn't see me, but you will see me right now, right? What they don't know is I have no points on my license and I have really good car insurance.
Great.
You
should find out all the way back.
Right? So dignity. What is honor? What is honor? Honor.
Respect.
It's respect. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Well, and also like dignity kind of has a sense of like like a baseline where it's like, this is like just what it means to be where honor is also almost like lifting someone up and then like even more so.
Okay, so lifting someone up above dignity or in relationship to dignity. Okay.
Honor, liberty, loyalty.
Okay, liberty or loyalty. Who in our society have we said that we will give honor to or high respect?
God.
God, okay, or spiritual relationship. What else? Veterans, right? Men and women who fought in wars on our behalf. We said we will give them high levels of respect or honor.
Family elders.
Family, senior citizens, right? These are people we will hold in high honor. Now, the interesting thing about honor is that we only give people honor who come from one place. And if they don't come from this place, we don't give them honor.